Well, we live in an age of terrorism now, that's clear. And one of the most important responsibilities of being Prime Minister is keeping the British people safe. Why would the British people want as their leader a man who for years supported the IRA?
I didn't support the IRA. I don't support the IRA. What I want everywhere is a peace process. What I want everywhere is decency and human rights. We went through all the horrors of Northern Ireland from the all through the 70s and 80s, through the period of the Troubles, and eventually came from that a peace process, the Good Friday Agreement, and now relative peace and stability. And actually, you know, Northern Ireland has been a bit of a model around the world. It certainly helped in the peace process in Colombia. It's a model that's been used in trying to bring communities together in South Africa and other places. I think there's something we can all learn from Northern Ireland, where the two big divides, the nationalist tradition and the unionist tradition, came together on a basis of recognising a different tradition each had. That's quite powerful.
You say you didn't support the IRA, but you invited convicted IRA terrorists to tea in the Commons a few weeks after the Brighton bomb, which tried to destroy our elected government. You stood for a minute's silence to honour, your word, Mr Corbyn, honour IRA terrorists killed by the British Army. Throughout the 80s and the 90s, you spoke at scores of hard-line Republican gatherings which backed the IRA and the armed struggle.
I always wanted, and always do want, peace, always want a dialogue between people of vastly different backgrounds. And the minute silence you referred to was in 1987, and it was for all who had died in Northern Ireland.
That is one of the 8 IRA terrorists that had been killed. That was the purpose of the meeting.
I said all those that have died in Northern Ireland. I made that very, very clear.
But the purpose of the meeting was to honour these terrorists. I mean, as you went to all these hardline Republican meetings, they were backed by the IRA and its apologists. At any time publicly, did you urge them to give up the bomb and the bullet?
I always said that the bombing process would never work, that there wasn't a military solution to be found in Northern Ireland. I made that very clear. I made that very clear in the House of Commons and other places.
Did you urge the IRA to stop the bombs and the bullets? All its front people that you did meet all the time.
I obviously did meet people from Sinn Fein, as indeed I met people from other organisations, and I always made the point that there had to be a dialogue and a peace process. Now, a lot of people did a lot of work on this, and eventually it was Mo Mowlam, as much as anybody else, that managed to bring those groups together, and she used a lot of connections in order to bring those people together, and I think we should recognise that as an achievement.
We certainly recognise Mo Mowlam. It's your role I'm trying to find out, because the former IRA terrorist leader, Sean O'Callaghan, he says, quote, "You played no part ever at any time in promoting peace in Northern Ireland." He says the peace you sought was a victory for the IRA.
Well, I've never had a discussion with Sean O'Callaghan. I have no idea why he would say that. As far as I'm concerned, the whole process had to be that there wasn't going to be a military solution in Northern Ireland. The Prevention of Terrorism Act, which affected a lot of my constituents, was something that was actually criminalising young Irish people, mainly in Britain, but also in Northern Ireland, and that there had to be a dialogue. Now, that dialogue did come about. We had the first ceasefire. Eventually,
but you didn't play any role in that.
My role was supporting a process that would bring about a dialogue, and I believe you have to talk. The British government at that time was putting a broadcasting ban on Sinn Fein, a travel ban on Sinn Fein, and a series of anti-terror legislations which were not really doing anything to bring about fair convictions. Remember, I was also constituency MP for one of the Guildford Four, Paul Hill, who was the first person arrested on the Prevention of Terrorism Act and eventually was freed.